We're back again with another round of mind-blowing facts that will make you say, what? Here's the first one. Ever noticed how babies and dogs seem to have this unspoken connection? Turns out, science backs it up. A study found that their attachment styles are strikingly similar. Just like babies rely on their parents for comfort and security, dogs see their humans as their safe space. That's why your dog waits at the door when you leave and jumps all over you when you're back. Pure love, no words needed. Vanilla isn't just a flavor, it's a miracle of nature. The beans actually come from the vanilla planifolia, the only orchid in the world that produces fruit. It takes months, even years, to grow and cure properly, which is why real vanilla is so expensive. Next time you enjoy vanilla ice cream, just know you're tasting something pretty rare and incredible. Bears are basically the ultimate survival experts. When they hibernate, they don't pee at all. Instead, their bodies break down waste and turn it into protein, keeping them alive without food or water for months. Imagine taking a long nap and waking up without feeling hungry, thirsty, or needing the bathroom. Bears have cracked the code on that. Before it became famous as Australia, this land was widely known as New Holland. It wasn't until the early 19th century that the name changed. Imagine how different things would feel today if people still called it that. New Holland sounds more like a place from a history book than a country filled with stunning beaches, kangaroos, and barbecues. Good news for coffee lovers. Your daily caffeine fix might be doing more than just waking you up. A 2019 study found that drinking more coffee could actually lower the risk of developing gallstones. So the next time someone tells you to cut back, just remind them you're doing it for your health. Rolls-Royce doesn't settle for anything less than perfection, and that even applies to their leather. Each car uses the hides of 15 to 18 bulls raised in cold climates. Why bulls? Because cows might have stretch marks from pregnancies, and insects leave marks on animals in warmer areas. It's luxury at a level most of us can't even imagine. Folding a piece of paper might seem simple, but it's actually mind-blowing. Every time you fold it, its thickness doubles. With just 23 folds, a tiny 0.1 millimeter sheet would become a kilometer thick. Fold it 30 times and it would reach outer space, 100,000 kilometers away. The problem, no one has managed to fold a piece of paper more than 12 times. First impressions happen fast, really fast. Research shows that people form opinions about you in just 1/10 of a second. That means before you even say a word, your body language, facial expression, and outfit might have already told your whole story. No pressure, right? White-faced capuchin monkeys have a hilarious way of saying hello. Instead of a handshake or a fist bump, they greet each other by sticking their fingers up each other's noses. It sounds weird to us, but in their world, it's just friendly bonding. Maybe we should be grateful humans prefer a simple hey or a handshake instead. The Ice Bucket Challenge wasn't just a viral trend, it made a real difference. Back in 2014, people all over the world dumped freezing water over their heads, raising a massive $225 million for ALS research. ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a brutal condition that's usually fatal within 2 to 4 years. Thanks to the money raised, scientists made a huge breakthrough involving the protein TDP43, which, when treated in lab rats, significantly extended their lifespan. Trying too hard to be happy can actually backfire. Psychology researchers found that when people force themselves to always be upbeat, they can end up feeling even worse. It turns out, accepting and processing negative emotions, rather than pretending they don't exist, leads to better mental health in the long run. So if you're feeling down, maybe don't slap on a fake smile. Give yourself the space to feel it. The hagfish is one of the weirdest creatures on the planet. It has a skull but no spine, making it the only animal with such a bizarre body structure. If that wasn't strange enough, it also produces an insane amount of slime when threatened, so much that it can clog a predator's gills and make them choke. Nature really went all out with this one. Stephen Hawking's DNA is literally in space. His genetic code is stored on a hard drive called the Immortality Drive, which is aboard the International Space Station. He's one of the few humans to have their DNA preserved this way, making sure that even in the far future, a piece of him will still exist beyond Earth. You actually weigh less at the equator than at the North or South Pole. It's not magic, it's science. The Earth's rotation causes a slight bulge at the equator, which means gravity is a tiny bit weaker there. It's not enough to make a dramatic difference, but technically, if you're looking to weigh less without dieting, just move closer to the equator. Self-made millionaires tend to be happier than those who inherit their wealth. A 2018 psychology study found that people who earned their money feel a stronger sense of purpose and satisfaction, while those who inherit it often struggle with meaning and motivation. Turns out, working hard for success makes it feel a lot sweeter. Bullying in childhood can leave scars that last a lifetime. Studies show it can cause severe psychological damage, leading to depression, anxiety, trust issues, and social withdrawal even in adulthood. People might say, just get over it. But for many, the effects are deep and long-lasting. That's why creating safe environments for kids is so important. The Olympic rings aren't just random colors. They were carefully chosen. The reason blue, yellow, black, green, and red were selected is that at least one of those colors appears on every national flag in the world. And fun fact, green was only included because Libya used to have a flag that was completely green. Ducks are called ducks because duck. The name actually comes from their habit of dipping their heads underwater to feed. So instead of the animal inspiring the verb, it was the verb that gave the animal its name. Language is full of weird little surprises like that. Cockroaches are natural burrowers. And here's a creepy fact. Once they go in, they don't always come out. Since they can't walk backward, there have been cases where they burrow into people's ears and get stuck. Imagine lying in bed and suddenly feeling something crawling deep inside your ear. Yeah, nightmare fuel. George Washington, often celebrated as a great leader, had a darker side when it came to slavery. Pennsylvania had a law that allowed enslaved people to claim their freedom if they lived in the state for more than 6 months. To prevent this, Washington deliberately moved his slaves in and out of Pennsylvania, making sure they never stayed long enough to be freed. Even the so-called heroes of history had their ugly truths. On Earth, welding metal requires extreme heat, but in space, things work differently. If two pieces of metal touch in space, they will fuse together permanently thanks to a phenomenon called cold welding. This was first discovered during NASA's Gemini 4 mission in 1965 when astronauts struggled to close a hatch because the metal had fused together in the vacuum of space. Space is wild. Sometimes just touching something can make it stick forever. On average, we take about 15 breaths per minute, which adds up to around 400 million breaths in a lifetime. That's roughly 53 million gallons of air inhaled and exhaled over the years. It's crazy to think about how much air we go through just by existing. Imagine trying to count every single breath. By the time you hit 1,000, you'd probably be exhausted. Asteroid 5535 Anne Frank was named in honor of Anne Frank in 1995. The asteroid itself was discovered back in 1942, the same year Anne and her family went into hiding from the Nazis. It's a small but meaningful tribute. While she never got to see the world beyond her hiding place, now her name is floating out there in the stars. In 2015, doctors made a shocking discovery. A young woman suffering from severe headaches went in for a checkup only for doctors to find a tumor in her brain. But it wasn't just any tumor. It had skin, bones, teeth, and even hair. It was a teratoma, a monstrous tumor caused by stray embryonic cells growing in the wrong place. It wasn't a parasitic twin, just a biological mistake, but it's enough to make you question just how weird the human body can get. McDonald's goes through an insane amount of eggs, about 2 billion per year just for their United States restaurants. That's enough eggs to give every single person in the world an egg sandwich and still have leftovers. Love them or hate them, McDonald's runs on an unimaginable scale. The shiniest living thing on Earth isn't a jewel or a fish. It's an African fruit called Pollia condensata. Its metallic blue surface is so intensely reflective that it looks like a gemstone, even though it's completely natural. Nature has some serious flexes when it comes to making things beautiful. After World War II, when Allied forces were clearing out concentration camps, they found a chilling message scratched into a wall inside one of the cells. It read, "If there is a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness." In a place filled with unthinkable suffering. Broccoli isn't something that naturally grows in the wild. It's a human invention. Italian farmers bred it over 2,000 years ago by selectively growing a certain type of wild cabbage. So if you've ever been forced to eat broccoli as a kid and wanted to blame someone, you can point your finger at some long-gone Italian farmers from ancient times. Eating dark chocolate isn't just a treat. It might actually help your mood. A large study found that people who eat dark chocolate are less likely to feel depressed. Maybe it's the antioxidants, maybe it's the feel-good chemicals it triggers in the brain, or maybe chocolate is just magical. Either way, science is basically giving us an excuse to indulge. Greenland sharks are like the grand elders of the ocean, quietly swimming around for up to 400 years. That means some of these sharks were alive before the United States was even a country. Even crazier. They don't even reach adulthood until they're around 150 years old. Imagine spending a century and a half as a teenager. That's next level patience. A 2018 study of Hitler's teeth, yes, that's a real thing, held in Moscow confirmed that he died by taking cyanide and shooting himself in the head in 1945. No escape, no hiding in South America, just a coward's end in a bunker. The fact that people were still studying his teeth decades later is a little bizarre, but at least it put some conspiracy theories to rest. The bee hummingbird is a tiny but hard-working creature, drinking nectar from up to 1,500 flowers a day. That's like a person eating thousands of meals in 24 hours just to stay energized. No wonder these little birds are constantly buzzing around like they're running on espresso. In ancient Greece, comets were called hairy stars, probably because of their glowing tails. It's kind of poetic when you think about it, like the night sky was growing wild strands of cosmic hair. Ancient astronomers may not have known what they were, but they sure had a way with words. Dolphins are built for speed, and when they really push themselves near the surface, they can swim at around 33.5 miles per hour. That's faster than most professional swimmers, and they do it effortlessly. Imagine racing a dolphin in a pool. Spoiler alert, you'd lose. In 2018, 4 out of the 5 largest cities in the United States found that using Uber was actually cheaper than owning a car. Between gas, insurance, maintenance, and parking, cars can be a financial black hole. For some people, calling a ride when needed is just the smarter move. A dog's nose print is just as unique as a human fingerprint. Every ridge and bump on their snout is one of a kind, meaning if we ever needed a way to ID dogs, nose prints would be the way to go. Imagine a world where dogs had to press their noses into ink pads for official paperwork. It would be adorable and messy. People who think their opinions are superior are often the ones who know the least. A study found that these people tend to overestimate their knowledge while ignoring chances to actually learn more. So the next time someone acts like a know-it-all, just remember, they might actually know less than they think. African lions are fierce hunters, but they only succeed about 20% of the time when they chase prey. Meanwhile, dragonflies are on a whole different level. They catch their prey 95% of the time. So if life were a video game, lions would be playing on hard mode and dragonflies would be on an overpowered cheat code. Michael Phelps, despite being one of the greatest athletes in history, struggled with depression and even considered suicide after the 2012 Olympics. He later started the Michael Phelps Foundation to help others dealing with mental health issues. It's a reminder that even those who seem to have everything can be fighting battles no one sees. Back in the day, the terms moron, imbecile, and idiot weren't just insults. They were actual medical diagnoses used to classify mental disabilities. Morons had IQs between 51 and 70, imbeciles were between 26 and 50, and idiots had IQs under 25. The worst one was Mongolian idiot, which was an offensive term for people with Down syndrome. Thankfully, science and basic human decency has come a long way since then. Lightning hasn't taken down a plane since 1963 thanks to careful engineering that allows the electric charge to pass through the aircraft without causing damage. So while getting struck by lightning mid-flight might sound terrifying, modern planes are built to handle it like it's just another Tuesday. Rabbits have a built-in security system. They can see behind them without even turning their heads. On top of that, they can sleep with their eyes open. Imagine chilling with a rabbit, thinking it's staring at you, only to realize it's actually asleep. Talk about an unexpected superpower. Drinking 6 or more cups of coffee a day isn't just a hardcore caffeine habit. It can actually increase your risk of heart disease by up to 22%. Maybe there really is such a thing as too much of a good thing. If an alien civilization 100 million light years away had a telescope strong enough to see Earth, they wouldn't see cities, cars, or the internet. They'd see dinosaurs roaming around. That's because light takes time to travel, meaning the farther away you look, the deeper into the past you're seeing. The bright star Sirius is 8.6 light years away. That means when you look at it in the night sky, you're actually seeing it as it was 8.6 years ago. Every time we look up, we're basically time traveling with our eyes. It's said that when Steve Jobs was on his deathbed, he asked for 5 different oxygen masks so he could choose the one with the best design. That's some next level dedication to aesthetics. Despite being the largest animal on Earth, a blue whale can't swallow anything bigger than a beach ball. Its throat is surprisingly small for such a massive massive creature, so even though it could inhale a human whole, it physically wouldn't be able to swallow one. Hyenas may look like dogs, but they're actually more closely related to cats. Their closest relatives are civets and mongooses, and they belong to the Feliformia suborder, while dogs belong to the Caniformia suborder. Basically, hyenas are just cat-like creatures that got a dog makeover through evolution. If you're serious about studying ghosts, monsters, and the paranormal, you can actually get a doctorate in parapsychology at the University of Edinburgh. So yes, becoming a professional ghost hunter is technically an academic career path. Every year, about 100 billion servings of instant ramen are sold worldwide. That's about 14 bowls per person on the planet. Whether it's a midnight snack, a dorm room staple, or an emergency meal, instant ramen is keeping the world fed one noodle at a time. Mistletoe, despite being famous for holiday traditions, has no natural scent. It's actually a parasitic plant that survives by attaching itself to trees and absorbing their nutrients. Some species are even toxic to humans and animals. The tradition of kissing under mistletoe dates back to ancient European customs, symbolizing love and good fortune. Psychopaths make up about 1% of the adult male population. Unlike how they are often portrayed in movies, most are not violent criminals. Instead, they tend to be manipulative, lack empathy, and have little regard for others' emotions. Many function in normal society, with some even excelling in leadership roles due to their confidence and fearlessness in decision-making. The national anthem of Ukraine is called "The Glory and the Freedom of Ukraine Has Not Yet Perished." It was officially adopted in 1992 after Ukraine gained independence from the Soviet Union. The lyrics emphasize the country's resilience and determination, reflecting its long history of struggle and pride. The mix of breeds between a Chihuahua and a Dachshund is called a Chiweenie. This small, energetic hybrid dog inherits the Chihuahua's alert nature and the Dachshund's playful personality. Despite their tiny size, they are often fearless and make great companion pets. Chiweenies are known for being affectionate, loyal, and full of personality. The atmosphere on Venus is so thick and dense that even a gentle breeze carries immense force. The pressure on the planet's surface is about 90 times greater than Earth's, similar to being 1,000 meters underwater. Winds that would feel mild on Earth have the same energy as a Category 5 hurricane, making Venus one of the most extreme planets in the solar system. In 1916, there was a proposed amendment to the United States Constitution that would have required a national vote for any declaration of war. Anyone voting in favor of war would have been required to register as a volunteer for military service. The amendment was never passed. Despite being the second largest planet, Saturn is so light that it would float in water if a body of water large enough existed. Its density is much lower than water, making it unique among planets. The planet's rapid rotation also causes it to bulge at the equator, making it 10% wider there than across its poles. There are no seagulls in Hawaii, despite the islands being surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. Unlike in other coastal areas, seagulls have never naturally migrated there, likely due to the lack of suitable nesting grounds. Instead, Hawaii is home to a variety of native seabirds, such as albatrosses and shearwaters, which are better adapted to the region's ecosystem. Jupiter's immense gravity generates heat on some of its moons, creating a phenomenon known as tidal flexing. This effect is so strong on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, that it has a vast ocean of liquid water beneath its icy surface. Scientists believe this subsurface ocean could potentially harbor extraterrestrial life, making Europa one of the most intriguing places in space exploration. As global temperatures continue to rise, flowers are emitting less scent than they used to. Heat and pollution disrupt the chemical compounds responsible for floral fragrances, making it harder for pollinators like bees to find them. This change could have significant consequences for plant reproduction and the global ecosystem, as many crops rely on insect pollination to thrive. In about 4.5 billion years, the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies will collide, creating a massive cosmic event. Despite both galaxies containing hundreds of billions of stars, the vast distances between them mean that very few, if any, stars will actually collide. Instead, gravity will reshape the galaxies into a new, larger one, fundamentally altering the structure of the universe. The light horizon is a boundary in space determined by the speed of light and the expansion of the universe. As space expands, distant regions move away from us faster than light itself. This is due to dark energy, which accelerates expansion. Anything beyond this horizon is forever unknowable, as its light will never reach Earth. After spending nearly a year in space, astronaut Scott Kelly's gene expression changed significantly compared to his identical twin, Mark Kelly, who remained on Earth. Some of these changes were temporary, while others persisted even after his return. This discovery provided crucial insights into how long-term space travel affects the human body at a genetic level. A moonbow is a rare type of rainbow that forms at night due to moonlight instead of sunlight. Because moonlight is much weaker than direct sunlight, moonbows are usually faint and appear white to the human eye. However, long exposure photography can reveal their full spectrum of colors. One of Stephen Hawking's most famous theories suggests that black holes aren't completely black. Instead, they slowly lose mass and energy through a process called Hawking radiation. This means that over an incredibly long period, black holes could eventually evaporate completely. Rafflesia arnoldi produces the world's largest flower, measuring up to 3 feet across. Despite its massive size, the plant has no leaves, stems, or roots. It's a parasite that lives entirely inside a host plant, with only its enormous flower visible. It also emits a foul odor similar to rotting flesh to attract pollinators. A single human's DNA contains an astonishing amount of information, equivalent to about 50 different novels. If written out, the total DNA sequence in one cell would fill millions of pages. Despite its vast complexity, DNA is packed into the tiny nucleus of each cell, coiled efficiently in a way that allows it to store and transmit genetic instructions. Many flowers have UV patterns on their petals that are invisible to humans, but clearly visible to bees and other pollinators. These ultraviolet markings act like landing guides, directing pollinators toward the flower's nectar and reproductive structures. This adaptation helps flowers increase their chances of pollination, ensuring the survival of their species. Each tiny dot on a strawberry's surface is actually an individual fruit. These small, seed-like structures called achenes contain the strawberry's actual seeds. The red, fleshy part of the strawberry that we eat isn't a true fruit, but rather an enlarged part of the flower called the receptacle, making it an accessory fruit. Humans have an incredibly strong sense of smell when it comes to petrichor, the earthy scent that follows rain. In fact, our ability to detect petrichor is stronger than a shark's ability to smell blood in water. This unique sensitivity likely evolved to help early humans detect rain and changes in their environment, which was crucial for survival. All galaxies, regardless of their size, take approximately 1 billion years to complete a full rotation. This means that whether a galaxy is large or small, its stars and matter move around its center at a pace that aligns with this cosmic timescale. When archaeologists in the field are unsure whether an object is a bone or just a rock, they sometimes press it to their tongue. If it sticks, it's likely bone because bone is porous and absorbs moisture quickly, while a rock will not. This simple yet effective technique helps in quick identification without needing laboratory equipment. Dynamite was originally going to be named Nobel's safety powder by its inventor, Alfred Nobel. The name was meant to emphasize its controlled and safe explosive properties compared to unstable nitroglycerin. However, Nobel eventually settled on dynamite, derived from the Greek word dynamis, meaning power. The number symbol hashtag is not officially called a hashtag or a pound sign. Its technical name is octothorpe. The octo refers to its 8 points, but the thorpe part of the name has uncertain origins. Some theories suggest it was named after an old athlete, while others link it to Old English words. During the filming of The Wizard of Oz, 16-year-old Judy Garland was placed on a strict diet of chicken soup, black coffee, and up to 80 cigarettes per day. Studio executives pressured her to maintain a thin figure, which led to severe health issues later in her life. The Hollywood industry at the time was notorious for such extreme and unhealthy practices. There is an enormous insect called the tree lobster, which is about the size of a human hand. Once thought to be extinct, it was rediscovered on Ball's Pyramid, a remote island near Australia. This massive stick insect has since been part of conservation efforts to protect its species from extinction. Komodo dragons are not only the largest lizards in the world, but also one of the few species that can reproduce asexually through a process called parthenogenesis. This means that females can lay fertile eggs without mating with a male, ensuring their species' survival even in isolated conditions. A study found that free weights at the gym have 362 times more bacteria than a toilet seat. This is because gym equipment is touched by many people throughout the day and is rarely sanitized as often as toilets. The bacteria found on weights can include harmful strains, making proper hygiene crucial when working out. The plural form of cul-de-sac is not cul-de-sacs, as many people assume. The correct plural form is culs-de-sac. Following traditional French grammar, this means that the word culs is pluralized while de-sac remains unchanged. If you ever need to dry superglue quickly, spit can instantly harden it. This happens because moisture accelerates the curing process of cyanoacrylate adhesives, which is why superglue bonds skin so fast. This reaction is used in medical applications where special types of superglue are used to close wounds. In 2019, McDonald's and its franchises employed 1.9 million people worldwide, making it one of the largest employers on the planet. With locations in over 100 countries, McDonald's workforce includes restaurant staff, corporate employees, and suppliers, contributing to its global dominance in the fast food industry. Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the building of the pyramids. She was born in 69 BCE, while the Great Pyramid of Giza was completed around 2560 BCE, a gap of nearly 2,500 years. Meanwhile, the first iPhone was released in 2007 CE, just 2,000 years after her lifetime. When you first meet someone, it is common to forget their name almost immediately. This phenomenon is called the next in line effect. It happens because people are too focused on what they will say next and how they are perceived, which distracts them from properly registering the new name they just heard. Raccoons have an extraordinary sense of touch. Their paws contain 4 times more sensory cells than most mammals, allowing them to see with their hands. Even in total darkness, a raccoon can recognize objects and textures just by feeling them, making their dexterity one of their greatest survival tools. Humans share DNA with all living organisms due to evolution. Surprisingly, about 60% of human DNA is the same as a strawberry's. This is because basic cellular functions are shared across all life forms, meaning we have more genetic similarities with plants than we might think. Until 1948, 7-UP contained lithium citrate, a compound used as a mood stabilizer to treat bipolar disorder. At the time, the drink was marketed as a lithium soda and promoted for its supposed ability to improve mood and boost energy before the dangers of lithium overuse became widely understood. The Greek name for the mosquito is Anopheles, which translates to good for nothing. This name is fitting, as mosquitoes are widely seen as pests with little benefit to ecosystems outside of being a food source for other animals. Sea otters wrap themselves in kelp while they sleep to prevent drifting away with the ocean currents. This natural seatbelt keeps them anchored in place, allowing them to rest peacefully in the water without having to constantly paddle to stay in position. Dogs love squeaky toys because the sound mimics the noise of small animals in distress. Their natural hunting instincts are triggered by the squeaking, making the toy feel like prey that they have successfully caught. This is why some dogs get extra excited when playing with these types of toys. Actor Frankie Muniz suffers from long-term memory loss and does not remember filming his hit TV show, Malcolm in the Middle. He has experienced multiple concussions and mini strokes, which contributed to his memory issues. As a result, he relies on others and old footage to recall moments from his past. People who live near lottery winners are statistically more likely to go bankrupt. Seeing their neighbor suddenly spending large amounts of money pressures them to keep up with the lavish lifestyle, even if they cannot afford it. This often leads to overspending, debt, and financial ruin. Pirates likely did not wear eye patches because they were missing an eye. The more probable reason is that they used patches to keep one eye adjusted to the dark. This allowed them to move quickly between the bright deck and the dark lower levels of a ship without waiting for their eyes to adjust. The amount of water on Earth remains constant and does not increase or decrease over time. Water is continuously cycled through the water cycle, meaning that the same water that dinosaurs drank millions of years ago is still present today, being recycled through evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. During the late Middle Ages, books were incredibly valuable and rare, often taking months or years to produce by hand. To prevent theft, libraries would chain books to their shelves. This practice, known as chained libraries, continued until the 18th century, when books became more widely available due to the printing press. Some birth control pills can lead to vitamin B deficiency. Since vitamin B plays a crucial role in serotonin production, a lack of it over time can contribute to mood swings and depression. This is why some doctors recommend vitamin B supplements to those taking hormonal contraception. In Canada, Santa Claus has an official postal code, H0H0H0. This was created by Canada Post as part of a program that allows first children to send letters to Santa and receive personalized responses during the holiday season. The first woman to cycle around the world, Annie Londonderry, learned how to ride a bicycle only a few days before she began her journey. In 1894, she set off on her trip, becoming a symbol of women's independence and adventure in an era when female cyclists were rare. When the Eiffel Tower was first built, many Parisians considered it an eyesore and wanted it removed after its 20-year permit expired in 1909. However, its use as a radio transmission tower proved invaluable, ultimately saving it from being dismantled. Today, it is one of the most iconic landmarks in the world. The dragonfly is the most effective hunter, with a 95% success rate. Its optic nerve is directly connected to its wings, allowing it to react faster than its prey can perceive. Unlike other predators that rely on chance, dragonflies calculate the exact trajectory of their prey, ensuring near-perfect accuracy when hunting. A second is called a second because it is the second division of an hour by 60, with the first being a minute. This system of time measurement dates back to ancient civilizations like the Babylonians, who used a base 60 numerical system. The division allows for precise tracking of time and has been standardized globally. Before rainfall, distant sounds often seem louder because sound waves travel more efficiently through moist air. Increased humidity helps sound waves propagate farther, making noises from far away more noticeable. This is why trains, thunder, or even conversations in the distance may seem clearer just before a storm arrives. Hummingbirds enter a state called torpor when they sleep, drastically slowing their heart rate and metabolism to conserve energy. Their heartbeats drop from over 1,000 per minute to just a few dozen. This extreme slowdown allows them to survive the night when they are unable to feed on nectar, preventing starvation while they rest. Monkeys in Indonesia have learned to steal valuable items like phones, wallets, and cameras from tourists. They refuse to return these items until they are offered food in exchange. This behavior is a form of learned negotiation where the monkeys have figured out that humans will give them treats to recover their stolen belongings. Army ants create living rafts by linking their bodies together to survive floods. When waters rise, thousands of ants will cling to one another, forming a floating structure that can drift until they reach safety. This survival strategy ensures that the colony remains intact even in extreme weather conditions. Squids have donut-shaped brains that surround their throats, meaning they must be careful when swallowing food. If they consume something too large, it can compress their brain and potentially cause fatal damage. Despite this odd anatomy, squids are highly intelligent creatures capable of problem-solving and complex behaviors in the wild. The artificial banana flavor used in sweets contains the same chemical compound that honeybees release as an alarm pheromone. This means eating banana-flavored candy near a beehive can make bees think there is danger nearby, increasing the risk of an attack. If you suddenly smell a banana near a hive, it's best to leave immediately. Vultures urinate on their legs and feet to cool down in hot weather, a process known as urohydrosis. Their urine also helps kill bacteria and parasites they may have picked up while walking through decaying carcasses. This unique adaptation allows vultures to stay clean and regulate their body temperature in extreme conditions. 12 people have walked on the moon, while only 3 people have explored the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Despite the moon being nearly 400,000 kilometers away, more humans have visited it than the deepest part of Earth's ocean, which remains one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Penguins have a special gland above their eyes that filters salt from seawater, allowing them to drink ocean water without harm. This adaptation helps them survive in harsh environments where fresh water is scarce, ensuring they stay hydrated even when surrounded by salt water. Jupiter is so massive that it does not technically orbit the sun. Instead, the center of gravity between Jupiter and the sun lies just above the sun's surface, meaning both objects orbit around this point. This makes Jupiter unique among planets, behaving more like a binary system with the sun. Bees have 5 eyes, 2 large compound eyes, and 3 smaller simple eyes. The simple eyes detect light changes, helping them navigate and avoid predators. This advanced vision system allows them to forage efficiently, recognize patterns, and even see ultraviolet light, which helps them locate flowers rich in nectar and pollen for survival. Iguanas have a 3rd eye, called the parietal eye, on top of their heads. This rudimentary eye does not see images, but detects changes in light and movement. It helps them sense predators approaching from above, such as birds of prey, giving them an early warning system to escape and avoid becoming an easy meal. meal. The Australian Jimpy Jimpy, or suicide plant, is covered in needle-like hairs that inject a powerful neurotoxin, causing agonizing pain that can last for a year. Even inhaling the shed hairs can cause severe reactions. There is no known cure, making it one of the most painful plant stings in the world. The jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii is biologically immortal. When threatened or injured, it reverts to its juvenile stage through transdifferentiation, essentially restarting its life cycle. This process can repeat indefinitely, allowing it to avoid natural aging. However, these jellyfish still die due to disease, predation, or environmental factors in the ocean. Squirrels can die from extreme stress. When overwhelmed, they instinctively freeze in a safe location and remain motionless for hours, or even a full day. This behavior, called sitting high, helps them recover from fear. However, in severe cases, their bodies may shut down completely, leading to death from shock. Flatfish, like flounders, are born with symmetrical eyes, but as they mature, one eye moves across their skull. This adaptation allows them to lie flat on the ocean floor while keeping both eyes on predators and prey. Depending on the species, some have their eyes on the right side, while others on the left. Elephants can detect underground water using their feet, trunks, and tusks. They sense vibrations and moisture in the ground, then dig to access hidden water sources. Many animals rely on this skill and patiently wait near elephants, knowing they will uncover water during dry seasons when surface water is scarce. Moths experience love at first scent. Female moths release pheromones that males can detect from miles away. Once a male picks up the scent, he follows it relentlessly to find a mate. This extraordinary sense of smell ensures successful reproduction, even in complete darkness or over vast distances. Dogs truly love their owners. Brain scans show their pleasure centers activate more when they see their owners than when they see other dogs. They recognize their humans, form deep emotional bonds, and even experience separation anxiety, proving their loyalty and attachment to the people who care for them. Domestic kittens need to stay with their mother for at least 4 months to learn essential survival skills. Proper nutrition and care can extend their lifespan beyond 20 years. Street roaming cats often face dangers like disease, predators, and accidents, making a safe home environment crucial for a long, healthy life. Kangaroos can pause pregnancy. After giving birth, they mate again, but the embryo remains in a dormant state. If the newborn survives, the embryo stays inactive. If the newborn dies or leaves the pouch, the mother's body signals the embryo to develop, ensuring a continuous reproductive cycle for survival. The insect with the longest lifespan is the termite queen, which can live at least 50 years, an astonishing feat for an insect. Some estimates suggest they can live up to 100 years, making them one of the longest lived insects on Earth, far surpassing the lifespan of most other insect species. During the Australian wildfires, wombats expanded their burrows to shelter other animals, including birds, reptiles, and even sheep. They created different rooms for each species and widened their entryways to accommodate larger creatures. This unexpected act of interspecies kindness helped many animals survive the devastating fires. Newborn bat rays and other stingrays are born with their fins wrapped tightly around their bodies, resembling a burrito. This unique adaptation helps protect them during birth and allows them to easily glide into the water. Once they unfold, they immediately begin swimming and exploring their surroundings. Occasionally, a penguin will inexplicably leave its colony and walk toward the interior of Antarctica, away from food, water, and safety. Scientists have tried to stop and redirect them, but they persist, often becoming aggressive if prevented. The reason for this self-destructive behavior remains a mystery to researchers. When a herd of antelopes is being chased by a predator, some randomly jump high above the grass instead of running. This confuses the predator, making it harder to choose a target and wasting its energy. Though risky for the individual, this tactic increases the herd's chances of survival. Dogs fake sneeze while playing to signal that they are having fun. This behavior helps prevent misunderstandings during rough play and reassures other dogs or humans that they are not being aggressive. It is a social tool that strengthens bonds and ensures playtime remains friendly and enjoyable. Every element heavier than lithium was forged in the heart of a star. Elements heavier than iron could only be created in the intense explosions of supernovae. This means that everything on Earth, including our bodies, is made from materials that originated in ancient dying stars. A female turkey can lay an egg that develops without fertilization, a rare process called parthenogenesis. The chick that hatches from this unfertilized egg will always be male. This ability allows turkeys to reproduce under certain conditions, even without access to to a mate, ensuring their species' survival. Grizzly bears in Yellowstone eat around 300,000 moths each month, which makes up nearly 1/3 of their total calorie intake. They find these moths hiding in rocky crevices, using their powerful claws to dig them out. This unexpected food source provides essential energy for their survival. In 1895, the entire state of Ohio had only 2 cars, yet both managed to crash into each other. This bizarre and ironic accident happened at a time when cars were rare, proving that traffic collisions have existed since the earliest days of automobiles, even with almost no vehicles on the road. Abraham Lincoln's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, was present at 3 different presidential assassinations: Abraham Lincoln in 1865, James Garfield in 1881, and William McKinley in 1901. After witnessing McKinley's death, he decided to decline any future invitations to presidential events, believing his presence was an unfortunate omen. The use of fingerprinting for identification dates back to China in the 7th century, where officials used fingerprints on clay documents. However, it wasn't until the 19th century that fingerprinting was used for forensic purposes, revolutionizing criminal investigations by providing a reliable method to identify individuals. Woolly mammoths still roamed the earth when the pyramids of Egypt were being built. While the last of the Great Pyramids were completed around 4,000 years ago, small populations of woolly mammoths survived on Wrangel Island until approximately 40 centuries ago, long after they had disappeared from mainland continents. When the body is severely starving and has lost most of its fat reserves, it can develop a fine fur-like layer of hair called lanugo. This hair acts as insulation, helping to retain body heat in the absence of fat. This phenomenon is often observed in people suffering from extreme malnutrition. Common pigeons, also known as Columba livia, have incredible abilities. They can see ultraviolet light, distinguish between different artistic and musical genres, and even be trained to recognize cancer in medical scans. When working together, a group of pigeons demonstrated higher accuracy in detecting cancer than human experts, making them surprisingly valuable in research. Oregon is home to the largest living organism in the world, a massive network of honey fungus, Armillaria solideps. This fungal colony spans approximately 2,384 acres and is estimated to be thousands of years old, making it both the largest and one of the oldest known organisms. A standard horse actually has far more than 1 horsepower. The average horse can produce around 24 horsepower, depending on its size, breed, and physical condition. The term horsepower was originally coined by James Watt to compare the power output of steam engines to that of draft horses. The total energy stored in all the oil and gas on Earth is roughly equivalent to just 8.5 days of sunlight hitting the planet. This staggering fact highlights the immense power of solar energy and how transitioning to renewable sources could far exceed our current fossil fuel consumption. Ball pythons in the wild have a unique symbiotic relationship with termites. These snakes live inside termite mounds, where they hunt and eat rodents that try to invade and eat the termites. This benefits both species. Ball pythons get food and shelter, while the termites are protected from rodent infestations. A starfish has an incredible ability to regenerate, allowing it to grow back an entire body from just a single limb. This process can take several months to years, depending on the species and environmental conditions. Some species can even intentionally detach a limb to escape predators and later regenerate it completely. Volcanic snails, also known as scalyfoot gastropods, don't need to eat to survive. They have a unique symbiotic relationship with bacteria inside their bodies, which convert toxic chemicals from hydrothermal vents into energy. This adaptation allows them to thrive in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, where food sources are scarce. Uranus is so massive that approximately 63 Earths could fit inside it. As the 3rd largest planet in the solar system, Uranus has a diameter of about 50,000 kilometers, making it much larger than Earth, but still significantly smaller than Jupiter or Saturn, which could hold even more Earths inside them. The passenger pigeon was once the most abundant bird in North America, with a population of 3 to 5 billion. However, relentless hunting and habitat destruction led to its rapid decline, and by the early 1900s, it was extinct in the wild. The last known passenger pigeon, named Martha, died in captivity on September 1st, 1914. New York Harbor was once home to trillions of oysters, forming massive reefs that helped filter the water and protect the coastline from storms. However, overharvesting, pollution, and habitat destruction led to a drastic decline. Today, restoration efforts are underway to bring oysters back and improve the harbor's ecosystem. Vultures lack a syrinx, which means they can't produce complex vocalizations like other birds. Instead, they communicate through hisses and grunts. Despite this, they are highly intelligent and play a vital role in ecosystems by consuming carrion. Their stomach acid is so strong that it destroys harmful pathogens, preventing the spread of deadly diseases like rabies and botulism. The US military has determined a minimum intelligence level required to complete basic training tasks, such as folding clothes properly, assembling a rifle, and following instructions. Studies suggest that approximately 10% of the US population falls below this threshold, meaning they would struggle to meet the cognitive demands of military service. Experiments suggest that subconscious parts of the brain begin initiating actions before the conscious mind makes a decision. In some cases, signals to move a muscle or make a choice are detected seconds or even minutes in advance. Magnolia trees are so ancient that they evolved before bees and birds existed as pollinators. Instead, they relied on beetles to spread their pollen. This is why magnolia flowers are thick and sturdy, to withstand the tough exoskeletons of beetles, which were among the earliest pollinators in Earth's history. The tip of a shoelace is called an aglet. This small plastic or metal sheath helps prevent fraying and makes lacing up shoes much easier. Aglets have been used for centuries, dating back to ancient times when they were made of bone or metal, serving both functional and decorative purposes. Trees communicate with each other through underground fungal networks called mycelium. This system, sometimes called the wood wide web, allows trees to share nutrients, warn about dangers like pests or drought, and even assist weaker trees by transferring resources. Though much slower than human communication, it's a vital survival strategy in forests. Acacia trees have a fascinating way of protecting themselves from herbivores like giraffes. When a giraffe begins eating their leaves, the trees release a warning chemical into the air, signaling other acacia trees to produce toxic compounds. Giraffes, aware of this, often start eating from the tree farthest downwind to maximize their feeding time. Some nightshade plants, such as Solanum nigrum, are considered toxic but become perfectly edible once ripe. Many well-known nightshades, like tomatoes and husked tomatoes, are actually poisonous in their unripe state. This trait is an evolutionary defense mechanism, preventing animals from eating the fruit before its seeds are fully developed. The real danger of climate change isn't just that it's happening, it's the speed at which it's occurring. Earth has gone through drastic climate shifts before, but these changes took thousands or millions of years, allowing ecosystems to adapt. Today, rapid human-driven climate change is happening in mere decades, overwhelming natural adaptation processes. Koalas are one of the least intelligent animals on Earth, with the smallest brain-to-body ratio among mammals. Their diet consists solely of eucalyptus leaves, which are toxic and provide minimal nutrition. The only reason koalas survive is that no other species competes with them for food, as most animals can't digest eucalyptus. Fennec foxes have incredibly large ears, which serve a dual purpose. Not only do they provide excellent hearing to detect prey underground, but they also act as heat regulators. In the scorching deserts where they live, blood vessels in their ears help dissipate heat, keeping them cool in extreme temperatures. One theory suggests that humans are naturally attracted to shiny objects because of an evolutionary instinct to seek water. The way sunlight reflects on water resembles the shimmer of polished surfaces, triggering a subconscious association with hydration and survival. This could explain why glossy things from jewelry to sleek cars catch our attention. A cat's uterus is bifurcated, meaning it has two separate chambers. This unique anatomy allows a cat to be pregnant with two different litters at the same time, potentially fathered by different males. This reproductive strategy increases genetic diversity and survival chances for kittens in unpredictable environments. Prion diseases are incurable and can remain dormant in soil for years. These fatal brain disorders like Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease are caused by misfolded proteins that trigger brain degeneration. If exposed, one must wash their skin with 10% bleach for several minutes. Once symptoms appear, the disease is usually fatal within 2 years. The International Space Station is the third brightest object in the sky, after the sun and the moon. Its reflective solar panels make it easily visible from Earth with the naked eye, appearing as a bright moving star. It orbits Earth approximately every 90 minutes at a speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour. Despite what movies show, the asteroid belt isn't crowded. The average distance between asteroids is twice the distance from Earth to the moon. You could fly through it without hitting anything, even while distracted. NASA's spacecraft regularly navigate through it without much concern for collisions. Traveling at light speed, it would take about 4 years to reach our nearest star system, Alpha Centauri. Located 4.37 light-years away, it's home to Proxima Centauri, the closest known exoplanet to Earth. At our current spacecraft speeds, it would take thousands of years to get there. A single cow produces around 24,000 pounds of milk per year. That's about 2,800 gallons, or enough milk to fill 45 bathtubs. High-producing dairy cows can give up to 8 gallons per day, but their milk production depends on breed, diet, and overall health. When astronauts travel to the moon, they perform a translunar injection burn, accelerating just enough to let the moon's gravity pull them in. If they overdo it, they'll miss the moon entirely. It's a delicate balance of precision timing and controlled speed. During the Black Death, incoming ships were required to wait 40 days before docking to prevent disease spread. This period, called 40 giorni in Italian, gave us the modern word quarantine. This medieval practice helped shape modern infectious disease control methods. We live in a golden age of navigation with Polaris as our North Star. Due to Earth's axial wobble, however, it won't always be our guide. In 12,000 years, Vega will replace it, just as it did in ancient Egyptian times. The cycle repeats roughly every 26,000 years. The sun makes up 99.86% of the total mass of our solar system. The remaining 0.14% is mostly Jupiter, Saturn, and other planets, moons, and asteroids. If the sun were a basketball, Earth would be smaller than a peppercorn in comparison. There's a bizarre planet covered in burning ice. Due to its intense gravity, water on its surface is compressed into solid ice, even at extreme temperatures. At the same time, its atmosphere is on fire because it's so close to its star, making it a true paradox of nature. The time gap between the Stegosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus Rex is bigger than the gap between T-Rex and today. Stegosaurus lived around 150 million years ago, while T-Rex lived about 66 million years ago. That's an 84-million-year gap. Meanwhile, T-Rex went extinct only 66 million years ago, meaning we are closer in time to T-Rex than T-Rex was to Stegosaurus. Space has a smell. Astronauts describe it as resembling gunpowder, burnt almonds, welding fumes, and even steak. The smell comes from dying stars, ionized particles, and space dust. However, most of the universe would probably smell like rotten eggs due to the abundance of sulfur and ammonia in space. Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank were born just 6 months apart in 1929. People often think of them as belonging to completely different historical periods. Anne Frank during World War II and MLK during the Civil Rights Movement, but their lives actually overlapped. A parasitic fungus called cordyceps can brainwash insects, forcing them to climb to high places before killing them and spreading spores. This real-life zombie fungus mainly infects ants and spiders, taking over their nervous systems and turning them into mind-controlled hosts. One reason crows and ravens are associated with death is that they followed ancient armies into battle. These highly intelligent scavenger birds learned that large groups of soldiers marching meant there would soon be fresh corpses to feast on. Over time, people connected them with death, war, and the supernatural. Your brain can trick you into seeing monsters in the mirror due to the Troxler effect. This optical illusion occurs when you stare at your own reflection in dim lighting for too long. Your brain starts filling in missing details, causing your face to morph, distort, or even appear monstrous. The giant squid's brain is shaped like a donut, and its esophagus runs straight through the middle of it. This means that if it eats something too big, the food can press against its brain and cause serious brain damage. Talk about a dangerous dinner. Most people have a different body odor when they are awake versus when they are asleep. This is due to hormonal changes, body temperature regulation, and sweat gland activity that shift between wakefulness and rest. In ancient Egypt, female mummies were often more decomposed than male ones because their embalming was delayed. This was done to prevent necrophilia. Women's bodies were kept at home until they started decomposing before being taken to the embalmers. At any given time, there are an estimated 300 active serial killers worldwide. That's a chilling thought, but most of them are difficult to catch due to their ability to blend into society. There is a parasitic crustacean called Simathoa exigua that replaces a fish's tongue. It eats the fish's tongue, then attaches itself to the stub and functions as its new tongue tongue, making it the only known parasite to replace an organ. According to Abraham Lincoln's bodyguard, William H. Crook, Lincoln had a dream about his own assassination for 3 nights in a row before he was actually killed. On the night of the assassination, Crook told Lincoln not to go, but Lincoln simply replied, "Goodbye, Crook," before heading to the theater where he was shot. The black mamba is the fastest snake in the world, slithering at 12.5 miles per hour. It is also one of the deadliest, with venom that shuts down the nervous system and causes paralysis within minutes. It can kill 10 people with 1 dose of venom, and death can occur in just 20 minutes. Hearing is the last sense to go after death. Even after a person is pronounced dead, their brain may still be able to process sound for a short time, meaning they might hear the paramedics calling off CPR or the voices of loved ones. The stonefish, one of the most venomous fish in the world, can cause excruciating pain that gets worse over time. Found in tropical waters near Australia, it has venom-filled spines that can lead to paralysis, shock, and even death if untreated. In the Czech Republic, there is a church called the Sedlec Ossuary, also known as the Bone Church. It is decorated with the bones of over 40,000 people, including a bone chandelier, bone garlands, and even a coat of arms made of human bones. And that's a wrap. Phew, that was a lot of mind-blowing knowledge. Hope you enjoyed this list of crazy facts. If you did, then like this video and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next round of insane knowledge bombs. Until next time.